My name is Daryl Carr. Thanks once again for being with us. In our first story, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana says the current increases in transport fares, though within reasonable limits, are harsh considering the economic climate pertaining at the moment. The Chamber is therefore re-emphasizing the need for a comprehensive transport fare policy which will make provisions for both upward and downward reviews or adjustments using certain specific indicators for easy understanding and prediction by the public. This is coming on the heels of the announcement, sure you've heard, of a 15% increase in lorry fares with effect from Thursday, 6th of April. Executive Secretary of the Chamber shared some thoughts earlier on the marketplace.
We are waiting for a full document, or a policy document that allows the public to also demand for reduction in transport from the GPRC and other public transport operators as the fuel price go down like we are expecting in the month of April.
All right, Duncan, before you even get to the unions, the unions are saying that the increase, the 15% increase is okay, but you are saying that the margin is too high, and what's your explanation to that?
If we take in last week, February, when transport fares went up, and this year, April, if you take what was prevailing at Ghana pump, last year, February, fuel prices were around 16 to 20%. As we speak today, average pump prices are hovering around 18 to 42%. That gives you about 12.14%. So, if it was even just fuel prices alone as determinant, whether we should still do 15. But like I indicated, it might be within reasonable limits, but still very harsh. Looking at Ghanaians and our economic situation prevailing, something could have been done a bit more reasonable than the full.
What range would be reasonable according to the Chamber?
10% would have been reasonable, Emmanuel. Considering that over the past 1-2 weeks, we've also seen some reduction of about 5.5% across most OMCs. One would have considered that could have been factored also into the final outcome.
Meanwhile, economist Professor Peter Quartey says the increase in transport fares will have little impact on the economy and cost of living. Transport fares, as we've been telling you, are to go up by 15% from Thursday. The operators are attributing the increase to a significant jump in cost of operations for the current lorry fare review. But speaking to Joy Business, Professor Quartey said the impact of this adjustment would not be that significant.
It could have some impact, but not a major one, in the sense that if you look at people's expenditure, total expenditure, transport accounts for 15 to 20% of their total expenditure. There are other things that goes into expenditure, and so yes, that can have effects on the cost of living, but I wouldn't think this will be a major change. But also there are prospects, given that the exchange rate is one of the driving forces behind these price increases. If we have prudent management of the economy, in the next couple of months, we'll see the exchange rate stabilize, come down, and that will then feed back into the transport fares again, and people are likely to ease off. So I see this as a temporary measure that people have to brace with, and with time, things will be back to normal.
So for you, from your own analysis, you don't think that the impact on the economy with respect to this will be that serious? Because some have said, often have said, that when you look at inflation, transport inputs sometimes can be very heavy, and therefore that could have a spillover effect when it comes to cost of operations. And if I'm a businesswoman, if I deal in product, and if I go and buy this bottle of Coke at this price, obviously I'm not for the Christmas. I'll pass it on to you, Prof, if you should walk into my shop.
Certainly transport is a major component, but also exchange rates, movements, utility prices, cost of raw materials, and many others. We have seen in the budget some moves towards reducing the cost of doing business. So if all of this kick in, this increase in the transport fare will be even out, and I think that the effect wouldn't be very significant. But again, as I mentioned, this is, for me, a temporary measure, and unless we don't have prudent management as been promised. The new central bank governor has promised stabilizing the exchange rate. We've seen some of the taxes being reduced. So with all of this, I foresee some movement towards the norm over the next couple of months.
Away from the transport fare hikes, and the Association of Ghana Industries wants the Ghana Standards Authority to ensure strict compliance at the ports of entry before allowing imports into the country. According to the president of the AGI, James Asare-Gyei, some imported goods fail to meet prescribed quality standards, a development he describes as unfair trade practice at the expense of local industries. He made the remarks when launching this year's Industry Quality Service Awards in Accra.
Addressing members of the AGI, James Asare-Gyei noted the situation where substandard goods are allowed to enter the market is a recipe to collapse local industries. This is because local companies are compelled to compete with such products which tend to sell faster in the market due to price differentiation. He therefore called on the Ghana Standards Authority to step up the efforts in dealing with the menace.
Let me indicate that once we are talking about quality, it is very important that we highlight the need for quality and quality products. You would realize that it looks like the country has been over-liberalized, such that you have virtually everything coming in, not meeting standards. And these are really affecting local industries. Now you produce and you have goods that come in that are sold below your cost of production. So it is very important that we are adding this dimension to our awards by upholding quality and standards. Let me charge Ghana Standards Authority, please be firm on the check of standards. It looks like it gets to a point where we over-compromise, such that once, if I use my industry as an example, I'm in the metal industry, and you'll be surprised that even though we have standards of metal thicknesses to come in, but if you go to the ports, what come in, you'll be surprised. Please, I'm appealing to you as the AGI president, uphold standards.
Responding to the issue, Deputy Executive Director of the Ghana Standards Authority, Kofi Nagete, assured his office will be investigating and come up with sanctions for officials who fail to comply.
I have taken note. I will contact the directors in charge of the inspection at the port and see what is going on, especially in the area of importation of the metals. And then, through what we've heard today, we'll see whether something is going on that should not go on, and then we shall rectify everything at the port.
But is this the first time such a complaint is coming?
Oh, we receive complaints all the time.
So what have you been doing about it?
Yes, of course, we have to do the best that we can. And as I said, if things are coming at the port, we are one agency that do the inspection.
But when you recommend that these goods shouldn't be declared, the recommendation should be adhered to.
Yes, so we have to investigate to see what is going through.
That's what, are we going to see any sanctions?
Sanction as in
to either the company or your agencies, your representatives at the port who go flout?
Of course, if you bring in substandard goods, there's a procedure that you have to go through to either make you re-export the goods that you brought in, or we have to destroy the goods. So there are procedures going through that, yes, we have.
So your officials who are at the ports who oversee this, I mean, when, as you said, the complaints usually come. When you investigate, are you just going to allow them to go and then...
No, I mean, when somebody does something untoward, of course, we are sanctions. We are a public service organization. There are clear guidelines and rules to take an officer who compromises on his duty. And of course, those who are the port who are included. So if the investigation is done and we see that somebody has done something that he shouldn't do, of course, we are processing that we have to take the person through in order to rectify the situation. So we do that.
Energy Now and the minority in Parliament is daring government to go to court over the AmeriPower deal if it is convinced the deal was fraudulent. It says the deal provided the country with the cheapest thermal power deal in the country. Former Energy Minister Dr. Kwabena Donkor at a press conference insisted the deal went through all the necessary audits before it was signed. He criticized the report of the Philip Addison Committee that reviewed the deal and said it does not represent what was negotiated.
The government entered into a contract with AmeriEnergy as a developer. The developer carries all the risk of the project, and whoever the developer brings us an EPC contractor or subcontractor is of no consequence except where the contract states that the client must approve the subcontractor, which is not the case in this build, own, operate and transfer agreement. The financial arrangement between a developer and or EPC contractor is the private business of the consortium. This principle is well established in energy project management. What is expected of government is to achieve a good tariff for the consumer. In this particular case, the tariff for Ameri levelized at 11.46 cents per kilowatt hour is currently the cheapest thermal plant in Ghana in terms of tariff.
Well, still on this subject, it's not likely the Africa and Middle East Resources Investment Group, AmeriEnergy, would accept any invitation by government for a review of its $510 million power agreement with Ghana. That's the view of the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP. The committee constituted to review the power deal has recommended a renegotiation or abrogation, citing elements of fraud in the payment of the extra $150 million to Ameri in commission. Deputy Executive Director of the Center, Ben Boachi, tells Joy Business this might be difficult unless government is able to prove the deal was fraudulent.
We have seen the committee's report, which recommends that we should sit with Ameri to review the contracts. I mean, that would have been the ideal situation. But here we are. We have a contract that we have signed with the company, and we agreed to the terms of the contract. So unless you are able to establish, as they conclude, that there was fraud in the whole arrangement, I don't see how you can simply go to Ameri and say, come, let's review the agreement, or come renegotiate. Let us renegotiate the agreement. Because, frankly, Ameri didn't come with guns in their hands. What they said was that they needed $510 million to be able to deliver 250 megawatts of power over a 5-year period. And we agreed to it. You know, we did a back and forth, and we agreed to it. We raised the questions early enough to signal the warnings that we could have had those plants cheaper. Our officials actually insisted that it was value for money, it was the best option they had at their disposal, and therefore they were going for it. And the records are there. The records are there to justify that our officials attested to the fact that Ameri was the option they needed to go for. So on what basis are you now saying that the contract is overpriced when there was that vigorous defense, you know, for this contract? And the fact of the matter is that Ameri has delivered on the contracts. You know, it's a normal business practice. If you have a contract and you can subcontract portions of the contract to another person to deliver, it's perfectly done in global business. And that is what Ameri has done. They went to also negotiate with another company, and they got it for $360 million. And that is what we were saying, that if we had done due diligence, analyzed the background of Ameri, and look at the market, I mean, we would probably have found a company that could deliver this project cheaply, you know, or cheaper for us. And we didn't do that. We just went to Ameri and negotiated, and that is what we have to pay, $510 million. And Ameri goes home with $150 million for not touching a spanner.
In other news tonight, Vodafone Ghana has launched its Vodafone One package payment plan to enable customers pay for 4 internet and voice services in one swift transaction. The payment plan covers fixed voice, fixed data, and mobile voice services. Deputy Minister of Communication George Anders stressed the need for convergence in the telecommunications industry.
Vodafone Ghana has now launched its Vodafone One package payment plan, which will enable customers pay for internet and voice services in one swift transaction. The payment plan covers fixed voice, fixed data, and mobile voice services. Speaking to Joy News at the launch, Fixed Business and Customer Operations Director Patricia Obonai said the decision to set up the payment plan was solely based on customer feedback.
So what we have done is to come up with Vodafone One that gives you a location on your mobile data, on your mobile voice, on your fixed landline, and also on your fixed broadband. But the beautiful thing is that you pay once into one account and then you can use all 4 services. So we are actually targeting individuals because it gives you a location on your mobile and on your fixed. We are targeting small to medium-sized businesses as well, and family, because the allocation that we give to you on your landline can be used on multiple devices at the same time at home. So that's very important for our customers as well. This gives the customer value. This was a very important insight that we got from our customers, that when they go on separate lines, it costs them more. What we have done is to give them the value all in one package plus the convenience.
The payment platform is tailored to cater to all mobile and fixed data and voice services, as well as the demography of customers, and allows customers to stay connected on multiple devices. Speaking at the launch, Deputy Minister of Communication George Anders stressed the need for convergence in the telecommunications industry. He said government will give the industry room to flourish while properly regulating the sector.
The core vision of the Ministry of Communications is to manage the convergence of communications and technology, to promote a viable, integrated national development process within a global setting. Indeed, convergence is very primary to how we will chart our next path towards further growth and success in this industry. In view of this, it is extremely comforting that Vodafone, exhibiting their ever-present sense of forward-thinking and thought leadership, have today come out with a product that should hopefully go a long way to ensure that the crucial needs of customers are met in a timely and effective manner. Inasmuch as it's comforting for us that Vodafone is once again taking the lead on this, we also want to pledge that we are committed to ensuring that the industry is giving flexible room to operate efficiently, imbibing the latest technology and innovation to succeed. It is the responsibility, or it's our responsibility, to ensure that the sector is properly regulated and that we approve policies and licenses that will only seek to enhance the sector, make the operators more willing to engage, and bring more competition.
The Vodafone One package is also available for small to medium-scale businesses.
Now, technology has largely been dominated by men, with most women simply shying away, having bought into the stereotype. There are some women, however, increasingly defying the odds and taking up roles in that field. About 118 of them Monday graduated in various fields of engineering from the Pentecost School complex in Accra.
The students have been taken through 2 years of training to build technologies in various fields. They shared with me how they overcame their fears and ventured into what has until now been a male-dominated field.
This one is rectification. Okay. This one, we are changing AC to DC. If you use the Zener diode, it will change. It will take all the ACs from it. So when you are listening to a radio, you not hear that sound that you don't want. When you're going to some offices, when you want to enter, they will write something like Akwaba or welcome.
Yes.
They use these things to write it.
Okay, what is it called?
This one is our stable multivibrator.
Now, you know the myth about women in electronics.
Yes.
Why did you decide to join in particular?
Okay, I like electronics because if I see females in males field, I really like it.
So the first day you came to this school and you saw all these gadgets and samples, did it scare you? Did it tell you, well, I don't want to do it anymore?
Oh, I was scared because some of the names I have not even heard some before, but our teacher motivated us that if you said you can do it, you can do it. So we felt happy, and now I can do everything.
This is an amplifier, and here is the volume control. If I want it to be high, I just raise it. And if I want it to be low, I'll just turn it.
Now, you talked about you not being comfortable when you were coming here. What were some of the difficulties you had running through your mind?
Like after school, I didn't even plan of this course. And when I first came, I was not feeling interested in it. So I was not taking all things that easy. But when I came in, since I've started, I feel easy to do everything. I can build my own power supply and those kind of stuff.
At an open day in the school, First Lady Rebecca Ekufuado admonished the students to use the knowledge gained to make history in electronics in Ghana.
You ladies give me so much hope for the future. You have set out an exciting journey to positively affect our world. The Ghanaian government is committed to solving the challenge of unemployment and increasing the avenues for female employment and economic well-being. Dear girls from various junior high schools gathered here, I entreat you to take the opportunity presented to you today. Ask all the questions to understand the project and take a decision to be part of the girls making history in the electronics sector in Ghana and the world at large.
The training was sponsored by the Korean and Germany embassies. For Joy News, my name is Hannah Odami.
And that's really cool. We want to take a short break now. We'll be back with our interview of the day. Welcome back. Our interview of the day now, and Ghana is said to be making significant strides in electronic banking in sub-Saharan Africa, which is important in boosting transactional banking. Now, in an interview with the global head of transactional products and services at Stanbic Bank recently, that's Hassan Khan, he emphasized the new paradigm for banks, which primarily involves meeting the payment and settlement needs of clients.
Transaction banking in any financial institution is a part of the bank that enables the movement of money from one point to another. So effectively, if you think about collecting, if you think about settlements, if you think about managing of excess liquidity, we are the business unit in any typical financial institution in a bank that would hire the people, build the systems, deploy the right processes to enable all of that to happen. So that's effectively the most simplistic way to think about transaction banking.
Can you compare it with, equate it to corporate banking?
So corporate banking is a fascinating question. Corporate banking is effectively, when we think about it within Standard Bank, is the client engagement part of the bank. So that's a group of individuals that engage the client, manage that relationship, understand the real need across a variety of products. So they're not restricted into thinking about transaction banking. If you think about Standard Bank, we've got transaction banking, we've got global markets, we've got investment banking, and corporate banking is what brings it all together for us.
Okay, so in that case, what kind of transactions? Because we thought banking is supposed to be, all about transactions. So why transactional banking when especially you mentioned investment banking as well?
So imagine your world. Imagine your world as a retail client, right? You have the need to receive payments from individuals you deal with, you have the need to make payments on the various services that you use, be it utilities and things you buy. And then in between the two of them, there is this excess liquidity that you may place into a fixed deposit that you may do things with which create a greater level of return for you. Now take that world, as I've explained it to you very simplistically, and make it more complex and think about the same thing but through a corporate lens.
And that's all time will allow us tonight. Thanks for watching. My name is Daryl Kwa. We are back same time tomorrow.